clear. I'm not going nuts.
Wait until she changes his name to Climax Clairvoyance. Just wait until she does it. So, as we talk about TDS and TV personalities having issues with TDS, let's go watch The View for 5 minutes.
What it looks like needs to be, are they capable of doing the job, less about the number of the age. So for me, I've criticized Dianne Feinstein. She represents the most populous state in the country. I do think because she's shown she at times didn't know she was out of the Senate. She didn't know what she was voting on. That's getting in the way of doing the job. Mitch McConnell, I think he needs to start thinking about passing off the baton of leadership like Nancy Pelosi did. But I don't think this means he can't represent the state of Kentucky in the United States Senate.
What about the glitching
but
that's
I do
happening?
think I don't.
It's
But
like
it
a
hasn't
computer
gotten,
glitch.
But somebody having like a cognitive issue, we saw that.
You notice the hypocrisies of how they go ahead and say that Mitch McConnell needs to stop down because of his glitches, because he's old, but they don't feel that Biden should step down. Now, we have to remember Trump is 77 years old, like you can see at the very bottom of that screen. He is 77 years old. He's not that far behind. There's a slight difference between the two, obviously. Not just that Trump is overweight, but Trump actually still has some cognition left. Goes out golfing on a regular basis. You watch what he does. Yeah, he shanks a couple, just like everybody else. But he can coherently speak as most at that age can. For whatever reason, Biden, only 3 years older, has some major issues. I don't watch The View for a reason. Don't think I'd get to watch it with you, Frog. Oh, you get to watch it with me because we pick on these nasty little riachas and their crap.
This with John Fetterman and actually applauded him for being so transparent. And I think it got him a lot of sympathy because they just came forward and said, this is what he's going through. He's going to show up and he's going to do the job. But age is something we have to address in this country. It is a factor with Joe Biden. There's a Wall Street Journal poll that came out. 73% of Americans are worried that he is too old to be president again. And he is, going to be the Democratic nominee. But true, I'm going to interrupt you.
He is going to be the Democratic nominee. You can actually figure this out. You know this already. It's something that you have in your brain that it's just going to be no matter what, no matter how hard we think about this, that's exactly what it's going to be. Oh, glad that you know. There's a free Jeep under your seat, Moose. Yep, beep beep. You get a Jeep.
But isn't it true that Fox and all those right-wing stations keep showing pictures of him tripping or the way people trip?
Yeah, but 73% of Americans, that's just not Fox News.
Real quick, you notice when you see the panel that there's a big, huge blob missing? That splot of whateverness that's sitting there. She's out. She's out with a bout of coof. Because, being multi-jabbed, no big deal. No big deal. Just a few comorbidities. She'll be okay. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of Democrats.
And he's over.
I know. I hate The View, too. I'm with you.
And he's only 3 years younger than Biden.
Well, and I think both is an issue. The biggest voting block going into this election will be Gen Zers and millennials. And our generation feels underrepresented by two, frankly, people, octogenarians, or soon to be running to run the country.
Look, I'm.
So I like how she tries lumping Trump in as being an octogenarian. He's not quite there yet. He's got 3 more years before he's technically an octogenarian. It could be interesting to see that if that was the case, of him being an octogenarian and being president yet one more time would be interesting. But he's not quite there yet. He's only 77. Quit trying to give him those years that he doesn't and hasn't lived yet.
I've never understood why people focus so much on Joe Biden's age. He is in very good physical shape. He exercises regularly. He actually eats a vegetable or two on a daily basis.
Does he? A vegetable or two? I'm sure that's what he's eating a couple times a day. Not the ice cream. Not the ice cream. The vegetables. Yes, the vegetables. And he in tip-top shape. Yep. Because he exercises. Unlike you. Okay.
He is in far better shape because I've actually eaten with him. Oh,
oh, you've eaten with him.
Right. Listen, the Senate didn't just become a place for older people, right? Look, Robert Byrd died when he was in office at 93. Strom Thurmond got elected at 94 and left when he was 100. And what I don't like that Nikki Haley's doing is conflating term limits with competency tests. I think they are two very different things. In Florida, they instituted term limits. I don't like them because I think a lot of people with institutional memory, with knowledge of how to get things passed, with experience, with wisdom, have been forced out. And instead, they've been replaced by a bunch of young idiots. Right. And we know what
Oh, yeah. Young idiots. Yes. There you go. State it the way it is. State it the way it is. They're all young idiots. As they spoke of young idiots, and they spoke of millennials and Gen Zers or whatever actually being the main group that will be the voting bloc, the ones that will have the most votes. Remember 4 million 17-year-olds turn 18 just before election day. 4 million new people will be out there voting with us. If you seriously want to know, make sure that you pay attention to who's around, who's 17, who's getting ready to turn 18, who's going to be walking into those voting booths, how intelligent they really are when it comes down to it. Because if they have no clue what they're talking about and they're just going to go in there to vote because they want to vote, they're like, oh, so I get to vote because I'm 18. Do you know why you're voting? Do you know who you're voting for? And it doesn't just matter that those 4 million know. It also matters about everybody else that's of voting age to be educated in voting.
But I also think that it's important that we take a look at Nancy Pelosi, who you mentioned. She's 83. She's older than McConnell, and she's got all her wits. Look at
and she's got all her wits. Are you sure she's got all her wits? I don't think she has all her wits. I think she's kind of missing a couple of those wits that you speak of.
There's a meme going around of Mick Jagger next to Mitch McConnell. 81. Mick Jagger is 80 years old, and as the meme says, there is something to be said for a life of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
There is. There is.
Probably didn't do it.
But here's why Joe Biden's age matters, because when
we should get into sex, drugs, and rock and roll if we want to be 80 and well fit. You hear that? You hear that, everybody? As long as you're into sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you'll be physically fit at the age of 80. They said it. They said it right here. We all heard it. We all heard it.
They're talking about 73% of Americans. That's not just Republicans. It's a lot of Democrats. And we have to be able to talk about age in this country without it just being this is ageism. Here, the fact is that 78 years old is the average lifespan of a male in this country. So for most of us, we didn't see our grandfathers actually live to 81. It is hard to think about whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And I'm glad you did. But let me just finish real quick. Whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, they are living past what a lot of people have seen. And they say this is the most stressful job on the planet. This is the commander in chief, the leader of the free world. We saw the Obama before and after
it ages
pictures.
them too.
I
so
have
it
been
makes
in
them
those
young.
meetings.
It's not going to age Joe Biden anymore because he's already aged.
He's already aged.
So we don't have to
He's
worry about
riding
him going white.
bicycles. And
And-
again, biological versus chronological. My grandmothers lived well into their 80s, and I got to tell you, they used to call me and tell me
But I
off
can
about stuff that I said on
But
this
Alyssa,
show.
I can see
They
it.
were
My
they
parents
were
about
Let me just finish real quick. Exactly. Moose. Uh, yeah, but they're wrong about everything else. Are you gonna trust them for anything? Nah. We're just here to pick on them.
80 and 81. And I see what you're saying in the sense that I've watched them change and they're healthy and robust. And I'm always so grateful to have them every day. But I don't think either of them would take on a job.
Well, that's the thing. You could continue to live a super full life through your 90s. I don't necessarily think you should be the leader of the free world. And by the way, if you are going to run as the oldest president, you need to have a vice president who is seen as the most ready vice president to assume office on day one.
Kamala's ready.
Something happens.
But
Kamala's ready. Yeah, right. Sure she is. I doubt it. It's going to be the worst year of our lives next year as she actually takes office. Oh, I shouldn't assume that.
listen, Joe Biden always says, compare me to the alternative, not to the almighty.
But I
And
think
yes,
America
okay, but
deserves
yes, he's
better.
old, but the alternative is indicted criminal, insane.
Indicted criminal, insane. You see who's insane? Look at her face. She's showing you right now who's the insane. Who's the insane to actually believe that all of the shit that they've thrust forward, all the bullshit, was true. That's insane.
Evil, indecent, immoral.
Doesn't America deserve better than two options?
Well,
that
apparently
you're
not.
saying
And
that
neither are
Americans
good.
don't want.
Apparently not, because the Republican Party is supporting him overwhelmingly.
So I'm a little tired of you youngins talking about. I mean, I keep saying this. I am the same age as Joe Biden.
yes.
Your hair dye tells the truth. Thank you so much.
Right?
That's right.
I mean, sure. What does it mean? It doesn't
You should
mean.
go tour with Mick Jagger.
I want to see Mitch McConnell saying, I don't get no satisfaction. We'll be right back.
I don't want to hear her ever again say that she doesn't get no satisfaction. I don't. It's a big no for me, dog.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.